We have our hands on some audio that was released showing what Republicans plan to do with their power once they are elected, and it is time to listen. My name is Brittany Page, and this is the Page Perspective. Before we get into this today, you're going to see a fundraiser on this video for the National Abortion Federation. The National Abortion Federation runs the National Abortion Hotline, and this is a hotline that people can call if they need factual information about how to obtain an abortion in their state, or if they live in a state with an abortion ban, how to get an abortion in the nearest state. They help with logistics and they cover the costs associated with the procedure, but also the cost associated with transportation if that is necessary. So if you are not in a position to give to this fundraiser, please do not feel pressure to do so. You can simply share this video with a friend, share information about the National Abortion Federation, and try to make sure more people know about it. If you can donate, I would encourage you to do so while we are running this fundraiser and trying to generate as much support for this very worthy cause as we can. So thank you for that. Now, Mark Robinson is the current Republican Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina, and he's running for governor against Democratic State Attorney General Josh Stein. And North Carolina, you guys better choose right here, because Mark Robinson is one scary dude. I mean, even outside of this secret audio that was revealed this week, he has a very long record of endorsing unhinged conspiracy theories and general radical positions. In fact, let's quickly give you this brief rundown on this from Vox. Quote, Robinson, North Carolina's current lieutenant governor, has hurled hateful remarks at everyone from Michelle Obama to the survivors of the Parkland school shooting. He's called the LGBTQ community filth. He's threatened to use his AR-15 against the government if it, quote, gets too big for its britches. And he wants to outlaw all abortions, as well as return to a time when women couldn't vote. He's also ridiculed the Me Too movement and women generally and climate change. It seems Robinson is willing to entertain all manner of conspiracy theories, too. He's a Holocaust denier and has a history of anti-Semitic remarks. He's suggested that the 1969 moon landing might have been fake, that 9/11 was an inside job, that the music industry is run by Satan, and that billionaire Democratic donor George Soros orchestrated the Boko Haram kidnappings of schoolgirls in 2014. Yeah, so where do we even begin with all this? And to think that he won his primary by a margin of over 45% is even more scary. But out of all that, we're going to focus on his position on abortion because it reveals something about the rest of the Republican Party and their true intentions. As we know, Donald Trump has made headlines over the past couple of weeks because he's given very inconsistent and vague statements regarding his positions and goals for abortion should he become president once again. And I've maintained, both in my videos here and on my podcast, I Doubt It, that it really doesn't matter what Donald Trump says publicly because, well, one, he's a liar, and two, he's surrounded by the most radical people who want to ban abortion in this country. They just can't come out and say it, even if sometimes they get close to saying it, because abortion rights are popular with the vast majority of Americans. But Mark Robinson, he said it. This audio was provided to NBC News from the Mark Robinson War Room, a Democratic group in North Carolina. And this audio was recorded at an event on September 3rd. So he can't act like this is an old recording, it's an old quote. So just a heads up on this, the audio isn't great, but there are captions so you can follow along. And of course, we're going to debrief afterward. But this is going to start after Mark Robinson was asked a question by a woman who wants to know why he has changed his position on abortion. And she's asking this question because publicly, he's gone from outlaw all abortions to supporting the current North Carolina abortion law, which bans abortions after 12 weeks gestation. So this is Mark Robinson explaining why his position on abortion has changed publicly. Listen to this.
I'm changing my stance. No, I have not changed my stance at all. What it is I've come to the realization that there's two different sides to this. Number one is my personal beliefs.
Yeah.
My personal belief is that
that's where we're coming from. We're like, I want to make sure.
I don't. There's no reason why an abortion should happen. And I'm 100% pro-life, and that's how I think it should be.
Yeah.
If I'm a pastor in the pulpit, that's what I'm preaching. If I'm counseling a young lady or a couple, that's what I'm telling them. I'm telling them, choose life for your child. The problem is this. I'm not a pastor.
Yeah.
And the position I serve as an elected official. So I have to go along with something called consensus. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's changing your position. That's giving up your conviction. No, it's not. You're going to be an elected official. You have to be mature enough in your faith to watch people do things that you disagree with and allow them to do it because we don't live in a theocracy. If we have politicians who start running the country like they run their church, we end up like Iran. That's not how this country was formed. This country was formed under the guise of freedom. And the guise of freedom, the very first thing that is, you have to choose your own religion. We have to be mature enough to let people choose their own course. Now, am I going to sign a bill let's get babies be murdered at 9 months of the womb? No, I quit. But 12 weeks, with exceptions for rape and incest, I'm not going to say it's reasonable, but my faith allows me to live with that because that's what the consensus is. Do I want to continue to lower it? You better know it. I would like to get down to 6 weeks. I'd like to get down to 0 weeks. Amen. I would like to push it back as far as we could and eliminate as many abortions as we can. But we can't do it all at once. Yeah. The Democrats started off with Roe v. Wade, then moved to safe legal wear. Then they got to wear 9 months in the womb, and they did that over 50 years. Yeah. We're going to roll back slow too, and we can do it.
So he says he hasn't changed his position, that position being there is no reason an abortion should happen ever. And when you hear that, you should know that he's talking about how he doesn't want rape or incest exceptions. And as recently as July 2020, he said, quote, "For me, there is no compromise on abortion. It makes no difference to me why or how that child ended up in that womb." So in this audio, he's reinforcing his firmly held view about wanting to ban abortion without exceptions. But he's trying to sound reasonable in parts of that clip, right? Where he acts like, as an elected official, one must follow the consensus. And so that explains why he's now publicly talking less about how women who are pregnant after a rape should be forced to have their baby, even if that is something they desperately want to avoid. I mean, he's talking about following consensus. You get elected to represent the people, so you follow what the people want. But then he says he's going to work to get abortion restrictions from 12 weeks to 6 weeks to 0 weeks, meaning a total abortion ban. Sir, that is not where consensus is, and you know it. So he can say on the one hand that he follows consensus, but that is totally invalidated when he says he ultimately wants to get to an abortion ban that aligns with his personal view of abortion, a total ban on abortion with no exceptions for rape or incest. He admits, quote, "We can't do it all at once." And you know what that means. It means he can't be totally honest about his true goals and intentions during the election, but that anti-abortion activists should trust that 0 weeks is still the goal. So what would have been a more honest answer, a more honest response from Mark Robinson to the question of why he is publicly changing his position on abortion? Well, it would be the one we got from Trump a few months ago.
Like Ronald Reagan, I am strongly in favor of exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. You must follow your heart on this issue, but remember, you must also win elections to restore our culture and, in fact, to save our country, which is currently, and very sadly, a nation in decline.
Yes, you must follow your heart, but you must also win elections. Mark Robinson is doing what so many Republicans do when they want to win an election. They are working to cover their previous radical positions and present as reasonable to the public. But if learning that Mark Robinson is a Holocaust denier, or that he believes 9/11 was an inside job, or the other numerous radical and unhinged things that he says and believes, if that wasn't enough to show you that he can't be trusted, let it be this audio that shows his true intentions for abortion in the state of North Carolina. Mark 0 weeks Robinson wants a total ban with no exceptions, even if he's trying to tell you to believe otherwise. He knows what Trump knows. You have to follow your heart, but you have to win elections. Don't let him win. What do you think? I'd love to know. You can call and leave me a voicemail, 657-464-7609, or you can send an email to idoubitit@dollamore.com. You can support this work by becoming a channel member for as little as $1.99 a month. And I actually want to take some time here to thank my newest channel members. So thank you to Happy Dogs, Tim F., Liz N., Stolly D., JP, and So Nola. We're going to be pumping out the videos leading up to the election. So if you appreciate this work, I'd love if you could join me by supporting the work as a channel member or on Patreon at patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. You can also support this work by sharing it with someone who you feel needs to hear the message. Take care, and I will see you next time.